Today we're reading a favourite. So get yourself comfy, get your tea or whatever it is that you like, and take a few minutes to listen to our story. Today we are reading Rapunzel. Once upon a time, when there were more witches in the world than you could possibly imagine, there lived one whose pride and joy was her garden. No one in the neighbourhood dared to venture near this witch, for she was known to have an evil nature and a very spiteful tongue. And besides, she had built a high stone wall around her house and her garden to keep out all intruders. Living right next door to this terrible old woman was a young couple whose black window looked down into her garden. For a long time, the young people had longed to have a child, and when at last the wife was able to tell her husband that their wish was to come true, they were both indescribably happy. Time passed joyfully for them, until one day the husband, whose name was Jacob, came home from work to find his wife staring out of the back window. "What's the matter?" he asked anxiously, for she looked pale and ill. "Why are you staring into the old witch's garden?" "She has a patch of the most delicious-looking radishes growing there," replied the young wife without taking her eyes from the garden. "I long for a taste of radishes so much." "I fear I will pine away if I do not have some." "That's called a craving." "But you know I dare not ask the old witch for anything," Jacob protested in horror. "I will do anything for you, anything but that." "Then I will die," said the young woman, turning to him, "for I cannot live without them." When Jacob saw that his wife meant what she said, he was very upset and frightened. "To ask the witch is impossible," he told himself, "but supposing I wait until it's dark, climb over the wall, then I could help myself to some of those radishes. Surely she wouldn't miss a few." Without telling his wife, Jacob did just that, and when he returned with the radishes and gave them to her, he saw how her eyes lit up and the colour came back onto her cheeks. Even as she ate them, she seemed to grow stronger and more like her usual self. All went well for a few days until one evening Jacob returned home to find her once again staring down at the witch's garden. "Oh no," he cried. "Don't ask me to steal the witch's radishes for you again. I shall die if I don't have them," his young wife whispered tearfully. And on seeing how pale and ill she looked, Jacob knew there was nothing else for it. He had to climb down the high wall once again and take some of the radishes. As before, Jacob was lucky, and he was soon back home safely, clutching a handful of those rosy red vegetables. "I saw nothing of the old witch," he told his wife cheerfully. "Now make yourself a salad and enjoy them. You will soon feel better." But, far from being satisfied, no sooner the young wife had finished the radishes, she began to protest. "I must have some. I must. These are so good that my desire for them is stronger than ever." "Very well," said Jacob at last, after he had tried to dissuade her. "I will climb the wall once more, but if the witch comes out and catches me, well, I just dare not think what she will do." But Jacob was to find out that for the third time he climbed the high wall, his luck ran out. The witch was waiting for him. "So it is you who has been stealing my precious radishes, is it?" she cackled, her eyes red, ablaze with spite and malice. "You shall suffer for it, thief you are." Jacob tried in vain to beg for mercy and understanding, pointing out there were still lots of radishes left for the witch. But the old crone simply increased her threats. finally saying she would blind him for her service for 100 years. The poor man's blood ran cold at the idea. But you don't understand. I was afraid that if my wife did not have radishes, she might lose the child that we are expecting.
Aha, she shrieked, so that is it. Promise me this child and I will let you go, and more, you may take as many radishes as you need to satisfy your wife.
Terrified out of his wits and ready to agree to anything, Jacob said, Yes, yes, you may take my child. And so the witch let him go. Soon afterwards, his wife gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, and the very next day, the witch appeared and claimed the child. I will bring her up as if she were my own, but you shall never set eyes on her again. The witch, who was called Gotel, a name ugly enough to suit her, christened the baby Rapunzel. As soon as the little girl could speak, the witch taught her to call her mother Gotel. When Rapunzel was 12 or 13 years old, she was the loveliest girl under the sun, and the witch decided that no man should ever look at her. Using her magic powers, she placed Rapunzel in a high tower which had neither stairs nor doors in the middle of a forest. Here you must stay, my pretty, she told the girl, but I will come each afternoon to visit you. When you hear me call, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair, fasten your long plait to the hook in the window, and I will climb down like a rope ladder. The years passed. Rapunzel, alone in her high tower, grew more and more beautiful, but how long the days were. Mother Gotel visited her faithfully each afternoon, and sometimes she would ask Rapunzel to sing to her. One day, just after the witch left Rapunzel, a handsome young prince came riding through the forest. He was curious when he saw the high tower, and then surprised to hear the sound of sweet singing coming from its topmost window. So sad and sweet was the song. As he listened, the prince found himself longing to see the singer. Although he searched for a long time, he could not find neither stairs nor door, nor entrance of any kind. At last, he rode reluctantly away. But the memory of the song haunted the young prince, and later that week, he rode into the forest for a second time. The girl's voice was there singing, but this time, as he listened from behind a tree, he saw a bent old woman with a hooked nose and crooked back approach the tower. Then he heard the old woman say, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. To the prince's surprise, he saw a long plait of hair as fine as spun gold come down from the topmost window of the tower. Even more surprised as he watched the old woman grasp it and climb slowly upwards. So that is the way to enter this mysterious tower, said the prince to himself. Tomorrow I will see what I can do. Just as it was growing dark the following day, the prince arrived at the tower, got down from his horse. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair, he called softly, and almost at once down came a shining braid of hair. The prince grasped it and climbed up. Rapunzel was terrified at the sight of the young man, for the only person in her life she had seen or spoken to was Mother Gotel. But the prince, seeing how frightened she was, spoke very gently. How beautiful you are, he said. Let us be friends. Tell me your story. What power is it that keeps you up here in this high tower? And gradually Rapunzel lost her fear of the handsome prince. Soon she had told him the story of her life, and how each afternoon Mother Gotel came to see her. Then I must come in the evening. Do not try to prevent me, for already I have lost my heart to you. Oh, how shall I ever escape from this tower? Rapunzel exclaimed on one of his visits. I have thought about it. I think there is only one way. Each time you must bring me a piece of silk so I can weave them into a rope. The prince brought his silk on his next visit, and Rapunzel set to work. She was careful to hide the silken rope as soon as she heard Mother Gotel's voice. All went well for some time, until one fateful day the witch sat with Rapunzel by the window. "Tell me, Mother Gotel, how is it that you take so long to climb upwards, while my prince is with me in the twinkling of an eye?" "What's this I hear?" shrieked the witch, her eyes glittering. "Wicked, wicked child! You have deceived me! Never, never will I forgive you." And trembling with anger, she seized a pair of scissors, and snip, snap, she cut off the long, shining gold plait. Rapunzel wept bitterly, but the witch merely struck her forcefully, knocking her to the ground. Then, using her magic powers once again, she carried the girl off to a desert place and left her there. That day, just as it was growing dark, the prince came as usual. "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair," he called softly, as he always did, and down came the long braid. But when he climbed quickly upwards, he found not his dear Rapunzel waiting for him, but the ugly, angry witch. Cunningly, she had fastened Rapunzel's gold plait to the hook, knowing this was the only way to entice the king's son to the tower. "So you thought you would steal my child, did you?" she cackled, her eyes staring at him in spiteful triumph. "Ah, but your little love, your dove, has flown. You will never find her, never, never see her again." And with a dreadful high-pitched laugh, she advanced on the bewildered young man, scratching his face with her nails. The prince fell down, 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 coming to land in a bush full of sharp thorns. As he fell face down into the thorns, pinched his eyes, blinding him. Helpless, he stumbled into the forest, and unable as he was to find his way home, there he remained for many a long month, keeping himself alive on the berries and roots which grew. Never for one moment did he forget his beloved Rapunzel. When it seemed the food was growing scarce, When it seems the food was growing scarce in the forest, the poor blind beggar, as now he was, took the wandering further and further afield. Finally, without knowing it, he came to the desert place where Rapunzel now lived. Rapunzel, lonely and unhappy, saw the poor man stumbling. But love is a powerful thing, and the love that Rapunzel bore inside of her told her in an instant that this miserable beggar was none other than her prince. She called out to him, and the prince, recognizing her voice, lifted his head and held out his arms. Falling upon his neck, Rapunzel began to weep without restraint, and it was then that the final miracle happened. Her clear, warm tears bathed the prince's poor blind eyes, until little by little his sight returned. With the lovely Rapunzel at his side, the prince made his way back to his father's kingdom, where amid great rejoicings their marriage was celebrated by everyone. The royal pair lived happily from that day, and their love from each other was so strong that the wicked witch could never harm them again. I hope you liked that story and you're feeling nice and relaxed. Please come back for our next one, which looks to be Jack and the Beanstalk.